your team got guaranteed money, tell them call me.
Whoop. Make me say, my. I done been around the world.
Yeah, I was made for this.
Player Performance with J.A. Cavalier.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Player Performance, college basketball edition. I am GUNZ Picks, and joined with Coach Rick. And yes, we're doing a morning show for the first time in a long time, but it's well overdue, and we have to do this because it's March. And we talked about doing a show last night, but we didn't have the matchup. Now we have the matchups, and now we have the this data, and we have the stats. Hope you guys can join us. Hit the like button and join the show. How's it going, Coach Rick? How you doing?
Can't complain. Sun shining here in Detroit Rock City, and last night able to bounce back and smack another max bet with Houston. So looking good, ready for a nice Saturday.
Yes, sir. And by the way, it's like every time we do a show, it doesn't matter what time. David B's been a gun disciple for I think 4 years, and he's been dropping some knowledge in the chat. So if he's on a play, you need to be tailing it. And of course, my guy Pre, another gun disciple, joining up here on this beautiful Saturday morning. Listen, we have a good card. We have a great card. Is it Thursday and Friday card? No, the volume is less, but the bets are bigger. So we need to be talking about some of these plays. Listen, we're going to be talking about the first game that is going to be on the board here. And let's talk about Wisconsin and Michigan in the spot in Chicago, Illinois, in the United Center. It's going to be tipping off at 1 p.m. Electric type of game here between these two teams. Of course, these guys know each other from a basketball and a football perspective. Wisconsin coming off this miraculous comeback, taking Illinois to overtime. And, of course, Michigan narrowly escaping Ohio State, their rival. What do you think about this one, Coach?
Remember what we said, just what was it, yesterday or the night? I don't. These days are running together. But anyway, what did I say?
It's March.
It's March. Yeah, it is.
But not just one day. We just say, it's not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's March. Like, what day is it? It's March.
It's March. Yeah. But remember the last thing I said, Wisconsin, Illinois. Last thing I said was, I don't want to bet against my man, Johnny Blackwell. Like, I just don't, and he came through, 31 points, and, they get the win over Illinois. So here you go again. If you look at Michigan, last 17 games, they got one loss, and that was to Duke. You're right. Number one team in the country. The only loss they had before that was Wisconsin, and Wisconsin beat them in Michigan 91-88. And again, did I want to bet against Johnny Blackwell in that game? I think he had 26, 28, something like that. So here we go again. And I know the narrative is going to be, Wisconsin, third game in 3 days, blah, blah, blah. They're tired, and there's something to say for that, I think. However, I remember when I was 20, like back in, when we were wearing leather helmets. But I could have played 20 basketball games in 3 days, So and again, it is a factor, right? I mean, there is a fatigue factor, and they did go to overtime too. So yeah, they're going to be a little bit more tired than Michigan. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Remember last year too, these two teams actually played in the Big Ten final. And that game, I know Wisconsin plays a little bit differently, but that game was a 59-53 low possession slugfest. And John Blackwell actually had 18 points in that game too, by the way. So keep that in the back of your head, with this total at, 160, I don't know, I had 161.5. That might've been from last night. Maybe it's come down. But I don't know that I could trust, Michigan to cover, you want them to cover 13 points here after what they did yesterday. I don't know. The matchup that you're going to have to watch is this. Is Wisconsin going to get a bunch of threes off, and are they going to be successful? Wisconsin is number 11 in the country in 3-point rate. And if Michigan, numbered what, 2, 3 in defensive rating. I mean, their defense is outstanding. We've talked about it before. But if there is a weakness, if there's some kryptonite on the Michigan defense, it is that they allow teams to shoot threes. I think they're bottom 100 at least in 3-point rate allowed. They will let you shoot threes. Wisconsin isn't like they shoot 34% from three. Like, that's not terrible. It's not great either. But if you let them shoot 45% from three, which is what they did when they beat them back at Michigan in January, if you let them shoot 45%, they're going to stay in this game. And I think if they, even if they shoot around their average 34, 35%, I think they can hang around for a little bit. So right now, I don't know if I'll make it. What is it, 9:15? I don't know if this will make the card, but I do like Wisconsin plus 6.5 in the first half. They've covered that. If you give them 6.5 points in the first half, they've covered that in 7 straight games, 11 out of 12. When they played Michigan in that first game, it was 38-37. Michigan was ahead, 38-37 at the half in that game. So I do I'm leaning on that. And then again, I will say I don't want to bet against John Blackwell. So, and you have to check this because some of his prop lines weren't out yet. His point total is 18.5 right now. But when I looked at that, it was only sites like Prize Picks and Underdog and all those other whatever the hell they are.
Yeah.
So if you can find 18.5, I'd play his over because like I said, 25, 31, and 34 in his last 3 games. He's scored at least 19 points in over half of their games this year. So, and then if you can find his threes, he's hit last 3 games 4, 6, and 5 threes. I mean, he jacks them all night long. If you can find over 2.5 threes anywhere at a decent price, I'd take that too.
I think we should. I noticed as Coach was talking, I was very distracted by his hat. And I noticed the 2000 and I think that's 19 Final Four on that one, and I remember those teams, and I remember the 2 teams that were in the Final Four, and I remember who won that tournament. So if anybody knows the 2 teams that made that final, and by the way, and everybody's gonna what, I shouldn't do that. So anybody in the chat that wants to, I was gonna Venmo somebody $50, but that Google sucks and everybody would cheat. So here's what we're gonna do. Like fun in the chat, I'll call you guys out as who made the Final Four, the final 2 teams in the championship, and who won that championship. Bring it to the chat, and I'll pop that one up. But Coach, you said it best. The best way to play this one is to not get too weird about the full game. You broke it in half, and we saw Michigan yesterday, and we Michigan. There's 4 teams, and I think they're all playing today, if I'm not mistaken. Arizona, Florida, Michigan, and Duke. Those teams have nothing to play for. I mean, those teams are ones. They're all ones. They're whatever positioning as far as the region goes. You can have a debate about that one, but I'll tell you what. The team right here is one in these. They're going to be the first team that is off the board, and they're going to be the number 1 team. And you have a position here that Michigan is 2. Michigan played flat, as I guess a lot of people, including the public, expected with that double-digit favorite. But Ohio State really had nothing to play for. Essentially, they were playing for a little bit of a positional spot. So this is how we do things. I'm taking numbers out of the perspective here, and I'm looking at motivation. Wisconsin has motivation in this game. So Wisconsin out the gate, the way you beat Michigan is you beat them in the first half. It's you have to go out there and you got to smoke. We've seen this a lot of times already in these conference tournaments, is you have these +6, +5 teams, these dogs going out there and up 10 in the first half. Especially the A10. We've been seeing that in the A10 a lot. It's and then all of a sudden is when adjustments are had in the second half, you see the team that is the favorite come back and creep and keep that low and maybe overcome it and take the lead, possibly cover. I think coach is taking the best approach from a handicapper's perspective, but like from a total perspective, let's talk about that. Michigan, like I said on the previous show, I said they'd come out flat. Guess what happened? They came out flat. Team total under hit, and the under in that game hit as well. But you're dealing with Wisconsin team that doesn't play defense; they play offense. They're one of the top 20 offensive country. Defense is like in the 70s or the 80s. And I know from a metrics perspective, Michigan is like I think top 10 in both metrics as far as defense and offensive efficiency. But Michigan has no motivation; they have nothing to play for. And I think if anything that's going to excel in this game, it's going to be offense. So I'm looking at the line right now. We're seeing kind of a high line. I think it's like one. It opened at 159.5. Now it's up to 161. It's telling you a story, man. I think this game is going way over. And if you want to get cute, I would take as like don't get cute on the Michigan side because I think if there's any team that can fall flat is Michigan. I think Wisconsin team total over. I think Wisconsin went under their team total yesterday. They're not going to go under today. So I would say Wisconsin team total over as a lean, and I would say over on the game. That's the way you play this one, and just enjoy basketball on that one. All right, let's go into the next game that is on the board. I'm going to save my team for last. Let's talk about Houston and Arizona in this one. This is going to be electric time at T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, and you have a Houston team that had a little bit. I call it like, listen, they had a bounce back in terms of spread perspective. I was like, I thought they played flat in the quarterfinal, semifinal. They did not. They absolutely put a butt thumping. By the way, max bet on Houston. You're welcome. On that one. Listen, Houston is a team that we need to watch in this tournament. Like people are downgrading them, and I get that, but like they played in the toughest conference. But Arizona, no slouch either. This is another team that we have to be watching in this tournament. So it's gonna be absolutely fun to watch this game at 6 p.m. East. Coach, do you have any thoughts on this one?
I do. You said that that you had a max bet on Houston. I did as well. And played out played out as expected. Yeah, and and mine was a little different. I took Houston on the money line and parlayed it with the total. But I've said it before. I'm a fan of defense. I love college basketball teams that play great defense, and Houston's very good. We've talked about it before. 62 points a game. I think they're number 3. Defensive rating, they're number 5. However, if there's one team that can stack up with Houston defensively, and Michigan's good. Yeah, Florida's great, but Arizona is number 3 in the country in defensive rating. They give up 68 points a game, 68, 69 points a game.
Like
so they're top 50. But they play a different style of basketball and offense. They're a more up-tempo team. So, they're going to average in the 80s and, they're going to give up in the high 60s. Like that's the way they play. So one of the biggest things though, is if you look at, and Houston's very, very good at extending possessions, forcing a team to use the shot clock and then forcing them into some bad shots. Right. So Houston ranks top 20 in effective field goal percentage allowed. And that's awesome. The best defensive teams in the country, they're ranking in the top 20, 25, 30 in that metric. Arizona's number 4. Like Arizona, if you look at, and I tend to look at the 4 factors thing that I've mentioned numerous times. And one of those is effective field goal percentage. And, and we're talking offense, and Arizona is the better shooting team on offense, but they're also, like I said, number 4 in effective field goal percentage allowed. So, go back to the 4 factors again, and it's Arizona. Arizona's a better offensive rebounding team. Arizona is the better shooting team, and Arizona gets the free throw line way more than Houston does. Houston might be a bottom 100 team in free throw rate, but where does that leave me? Well, I actually went back and I looked because I thought I did this last year. Arizona played Houston in the Big Ten final last year. And if you go back to last year, and I know, none of this may matter to anyone, but take it for what it's worth. Arizona and Houston played in the regular season last year. Houston won the game, low scoring game. I think it went under the total. Houston comes into the Big 12 final last year. I think they were favored by 6.5, like strong line, right? And so I actually had client plays on this game. I'm looking at them right now. I had Houston on the money line and over 134.5. Houston, right?
Yeah, I love how you remember. Like, I have the same brain, and I remember I remember my losses more than my wins.
Yeah. Well, both of the last year Big 12 final, which was on March 15th, Houston 72, Arizona 64.
Yeah.
So, it's a win and the game went over. And, I mean, again, I'm not doing that to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying, hey, look, this is what happened last year. So you fast forward, you come into this year, these two teams played in the regular season, and I'm pretty sure I had a play on that game too as well. Low scoring game. And Arizona won at Houston. And yeah, I know it's a little, the situation was different where Houston had that stretch of 3 games, where they lost to 3 really good teams. And Arizona was one of them. But Arizona won that game. And now we come back to a Big 12 final again. And now Arizona's favored by 2.5. And then I know the line isn't as strong as it was last year. But,
correct.
I look at the 4 factors and, I see that Arizona has the edge in the 4 factors. They're a better offensive rebounding team. That matters. They can stack up defensively with Houston. They're bigger on the inside. So right now I'm leaning towards Arizona on the money line, and we'll see where I get on the total. I don't know if I'll take a crack at the under on that or not. We'll see.
Oh, don't worry. I'll talk about the total on this one.
There you go.
And I think you hit a lot of the key points as far as where these teams are. And I just want to call out my guy, Blunt Boys, just gave the Virginia Texas Tech. You guys remember that game, and it is vivid in my memory. Virginia was down, and they came back in that game miraculously. I think it took it into overtime, and that guard play and that defense was both defense in that era. Awesome. It was just one of the most incredible Final Fours that I can remember. But we're talking about the now here. Yes, these teams already met this year, so we have a little bit of the metrics. Actually, Houston lost at home as 6.5-point favorites, very heavy favorites in the first matchup, 66-73. And now you see them. You would think that in a revenge factor, you would get a better line. We're not. We're not even getting anything close to that. We're getting a very heavy indicator that it is an Arizona spot, which is kind of crazy in my mind, knowing that like I said earlier in the show, does Arizona have anything to play for? Houston, in my mind, does, and Houston's playing very good basketball in the Big 12 tourney right now. So let's focus on the total. First time these teams met, 141.5. We're seeing 137.5 on the boards currently. And I think that is getting steamed down, if I'm not mistaken. It's actually kind of sticking. And we're getting a lot of money towards the Arizona side, not on the ticket side. So it is giving an Arizona indicator. This may make my card from a side perspective. We shall see. That's why you have to join the VIPs. But I digress. What a day for me on the VIPs, by the way. 137.5, 141.5 in the first matchup. I do lean towards defenses in this one because we're dealing with Houston, historically great defense, but Arizona is top 10. They're on that Duke, Michigan level. Top. We're talking about defenses. They're big inside. They can defend, and I lean towards the under on this one, knowing that like these two teams did have a little bit of a scoring affair in their previous game. The line at 137.5 is indicating a little bit of a regression in the total. So I'm going to be leaning towards the under on this one. We'll see if it makes my card at the end of the day. But let's go into the game of the day for me. at least. Let's talk about Duke and UVA for the ACC championship crown. Now, a lot of people said, Duke, you got nothing left in the tank because you almost got beat by Florida State. And what did they do to Clemson? They actually put, I hate the term, but I'm going to say it, belt to ass to Clemson. They did. They did. That is a perfect example of that scenario. But Virginia playing tough, playing 2019 tough. We're talking about, the Final Four in 2019. Like that defense is playing good. I was like, so we're not going to be sleeping on this UVA team. And by the way, let's talk about this one. Another quiz question. UVA won the Final Four in 2019 national championship. However, they lost as a 1 seed to a 16 seed. Name the team in 2018. There you go with that one. Drop that into the chat. But this is going to be a tough game. I do have takes. Coach, give it to
him. Really it comes down to who the hell is going to be on the floor, right? So we all know Duke without Foster. There's your boy got it right there. I was going to say
it's easy.
It's the team that's going to win the America East today.
Yep. Absolutely.
There you go. Right.
Put that on a money line parlay is UMBC and I would say Yale. What do you think, Yale?
Somebody what was that? Lacrosse put thoughts on Harvard and Penn, and I was going to say, Ivy League. The only schools I look at are Yale and Cornell.
There you go.
You
want an early parlay? Let's do it.
Yeah. The Ivy game's at what 11 a.m.
Yeah, it's 11 a.m. Correct.
Anyway, so Foster out, and then the big dude that nobody can pronounce his name, Ngongba, however you say it. Both those guys are out. And everybody thought, oh, Clemson getting what were they 11.5 or something? Everybody wanted to jump on Clemson. And Duke does what Duke does. I mean, they still got dudes, right? I mean, the guys on the bench are probably better than half the guys starting around the country anyway. But how's Duke going to win without those guys? Well, they got to play defense. That's and that's what they did that last night. However, that said, 8.5. Do I want to? I mean, God, Virginia. I can remember, probably halfway through the season being on here somewhere talking about how no one is looking at Virginia like this is a very good basketball team. Like and I think it was like you hear all the so-called experts and you ESPN and whatever else and everybody gives their preseason ratings, and I think everybody just kind of overlooked Virginia because of what they did last year. So coming into the year, no one's high on Virginia, and then all of a sudden they're beating the shit out of everybody, right? And they're doing it a little bit differently. So it's not the pack line defense of Tony Bennett, but they still play damn good defense. But now, instead of this, grinded out, low possession type offense, now they can score. So I say all that to say that Virginia's really good at limiting possessions. They will force teams to play, late into the shot clock. They are a top 20 defensive efficiency team. Most of their games have gone under this season. I don't know. And I'm not anywhere on this game yet, but if I had to, if I got to play something, I'm probably looking at playing the under or somebody's team total under. And then the one thing I'll go back to it because I look at it a lot in these late season games is the first half, and when you have a big spread, if you got a team that's plus 8.5, I mean, you got to look at the first half, because teams battle in the first half. And, if teams that are better usually will, they're going to play a better second half or, maybe they have a better coach that makes better adjustments, whatever. But you can get Virginia in the first half plus 4.5, which if you hand Virginia 4.5 points in the first half, they've covered what? I know they've covered the last 4 straight, but if you look at their entire season, only 4 times have they been down by 5 or more points in the first half? So I think they can keep it close in the first half. That would be my best look right now. I don't know where I'll get to on this game though, but I'm sure you get something.
Yeah, I mean, they scored UVA scored 51 points in the first matchup. It's like that's going to stick in their craw going against this Duke team. And I said it before. It's like there's 4 teams, in my opinion, that have nothing to play for. I think Duke has done enough to be like, okay, we can pump the brakes and we can rest guys and like try to get people healthy. That's what I'm thinking in my head. But UVA playing for positions. I think they're playing trying to get vying for 2-3 seeds to try to get out of the 4 because in my mind they're a 4 right now. So maybe there is some motivation in that factor. The line 9.5 last time they did 77-51 first matchup. The total is enticing to me because in the first matchup is 142.5. Now we're seeing 137.5 on the board, and I'm seeing it open at 139.5, steam down to 137.5, which gives you an indicator of defense. And that kind of makes sense in this game. I mean, playing for the conference championship. Duke is the reigning champion, and I think UVA wants to get back into that spot. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen from defense. And who better to do defense than Duke and UVA? So I don't expect scoring. I expect a lot of missed shots. I expect a lot of banging around inside the paint. I expect rebounds. I expect steals. And sloppy basketball from the offensive perspective. It's not because they're sloppy offensively. It's because you're dealing with really good defense. Like every shot is going to be contested. And that's what I like with an under here. So, yeah, the under is the spot for me on this one at 137.5. All day. That's how I'm going to be playing this one. And I want to get back into the chat. And Lacrosse says, thoughts on Italy versus Puerto Rico, the World Baseball Classic. Did you forget what month it is? I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. I mean, what are we doing? I understand that this is the
freaking Scooble pitches a game and then he's done. Skeens pitches one. I'm done. I mean, who gives a shit? I mean, I want the USA to win, but I don't know. Whatever.
A lot of middle relievers from the Red Sox on that team that I noticed.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Now we're done. We're finished. And that team lost to Italy, by the way. I guess. And by the way, as long as you're from America and you have Italy blood in you, you can play for Italy, even though you've never been to the country. So it's kind of remarkable how the World Baseball Classic runs now. But without further ado, we need to give the people our best bets. Come on! All right, Coach, give it to him.
Well, I'll probably give 2 because I think I might steal yours. I don't know. But, well, there you go. Troy Brown, thoughts on Vermont game today. Here you go. Ready?
We just said it. Let's do it. Go ahead.
UMBC, money line, done. Drop mic, peace out. There you go. So I don't know. I mean that's, and I can go into why, but anyway, that might be your best bet. I'm not sure
by a mile,
but they're the best team. They play great defense. I mean, go to the 4 factors and look at it. And Vermont's good. Don't get me wrong, but they're not the Vermont of the last 3-4 years.
Correct.
And so that we can leave that as the best bet. I did have another one if you want to take a look at South Florida and Charlotte. South Florida actually hasn't played since last Sunday, and they beat Charlotte like by a zillion. 83-60. But South Florida, one of the best scoring teams in the country. And I know I've had some difficulty. I've been playing some teams that have been off, and then they kind of, they're a little rusty when they haven't played for a while. I don't think that's going to be the case with South Florida. But if there's an angle in that game that I like, it's the first half, just because they score a ton of points in the first half. They're rested, but they may be rusty. So I know that, I may lose this one, but I do like them to go over their first half team total. It was 39.5 last night when I looked at it. I think that's around -130 or -140 right now. I'm okay with that. If you don't like that, go to 40.5. They've averaged 48 points in their last 3 or 4 games in the first half. And Charlotte, they play some decent defense, but in the game they just played last week, South Florida was beating them 44-29 on the way to that 83-60 win. So UMBC, boom, and South Florida first half team total over.
Oh, wow. Coach said it right there. I think we should do a little bit of a money line parlay. Let's do a little bit of early action on
There you
this
go.
one. And I'll say this. There's two teams that are going to win in the early games, in my opinion. We'll see if that comes to fruition here. It is going to be Yale. I like Yale's going to be playing on Sunday. I don't see any way, shape, or form. This is a tradition unlike any other. It's the Masters. It is the Masters of all Masters. It's like death, taxes. We're going to be watching Yale before Selection Sunday, playing in a game, win, lose, or draw, and they're probably going to be playing Harvard. I'm hoping on this one. Niggas say Harvard. And then UMBC, we're running it back on them. I think we have 2 money line plays. I think you can get plus money if you put those guys in a money line action. I'm seeing the steam actually going up on Yale as we speak right now. Open at 3.5. We're seeing 4.5. I'm not saying spread. I'm saying money line. And like no way, shape, or form is Vermont even capable. We'll see. I may be wrong. But UMBC has played the best basketball in that conference all season. So put them in a money line parlay. Yale, UMBC, and that is the best bet that I have for this show. My God, we damn did it. Woo. Guess what? Next time you see our stupid asses, we're gonna be talking about a little NCAA tournament ball. So what do I ask you to do? Hit the like button, subscribe to the J Cavalier channel. And check out what we're doing on our telegrams. If you want to go and get into that, if you're not part of our telegrams, guess what? We put it in the comment section. You go get our links. Myself and Coach. And if you want to go check us out on Instagram, it is YLOSE_GUNZ. It's YLOSE_Coach. Coach drops video plays there all the time, including myself. Hit my video play yesterday with BCU. Actually, I gave it out on the show here on the previous show yesterday. And my God, did it cash? Not yesterday. I'm sorry. The day before, whatever. I digress. We're going to have an electric Saturday. We're going to have an electric Sunday. And by God, we're going to have an electric tournament. That's why you need to follow us for the VIPs. Go check out the deals we got. I'm not going to even spurt out the deals. You just need to go to our telegrams and join up here. And I want to make sure I shout out the chat. Peter says, good analysis, Gun Coach. And great show, guys. And I want to make sure I give my kudos to Coach because David said earlier in the show that he was a coach guy. I want to make sure he said, goes, I'm not only a guns guy. I did call him a guns guy. He said, I'm a coach guy too. So I want to give the kudos to Coach. There is a reason they put our stupid asses together because we know ball better than anybody on the planet. But until next time, when you see us talking about the NCAA tournament, let's cash some tickets. Let's dominate the board. And as always, give it to him, Coach.
Giddy up.
And let's keep dancing. Tick, 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 tick. Bye-bye.
Cut my life in